So, if we're being honest, the first half of the year has been a lot. Whether it was the pressure to make big moves, whether it was those unexpected curveballs, whether it was burnout, disappointment, or just the emotional fatigue of trying to hold it all together, there has been a lot going on, distractions left and right. And in this video, I want to offer you a moment to pause, breathe, and reflect. I'm going to walk you through what I'm calling my mid-year realignment plan. And this is a gentle, soul-led 8-week practice I've created to help me reset my rhythm, reconnect with myself, and move into the second half of the year from alignment, from sovereignty, and not in a place of urgency. If you're someone who's been feeling like you're constantly pouring out, but rarely having a chance to fill up, or maybe you're someone that has achieved some of your first half of the year goals, but something just isn't clicking, you still feel a little bit off, or you're simply ready for a fresh, energetic start that doesn't require you to grind your way there. If any of these apply to you, then I made this video just for you. Hey, beautiful soul. If you're new here, I'm Aisha Nesut, mindset and alignment coach, soulful visionary, and mompreneur, building a multi-million-dollar digital brand from alignment and not hustle. I bridge strategy and soul and guide heart-centered women like you to break through limitations, tap into your inner wisdom, master your mindset, and design a thriving lifestyle that's rooted in joy, purpose, and prosperity. So if you're done with hustle culture, if you're done with surface level self-help, and you're ready to lead from intention, from resonance, and from abundance, this space is for you. So grab your notepad and don't forget to grab a glass of your favorite drink. Stick around to the end. You will leave with a simple but powerful reset structure that's inspired by the Empire Operating System. This is something that I'm going to be sharing more on in future videos. But today, I want to invite you into something softer, into a mid-year moment to pause, reflect, and realign. Because what we don't need right now is more pressure. What we can use more of right now is presence. And of course, having a framework that honors who you are as you become who you are meant to be. And I'll be the first to admit, I started this year with big plans, with big goals, as many of us do. And I did this although I was in the midst of a significant transition personally and professionally. Despite knowing this, that default programming kicked in, where we feel like because it's a new year, it's time to hit the ground running and it's time to start grinding and it's time to start hustling, even if you know better, even if your soul is saying to you, slow down. Your nervous system is so accustomed to being hijacked. It's saying, let's go, let's push, let's do this one more time. But what I realized is that every time I try to force myself into forward motion when there's no alignment, I pay for it, whether that is emotionally, physically, financially, or even energetically. Because hustle culture doesn't just rob you of rest. It robs you of clarity. It robs you of peace. It convinces you that momentum equals success, even when you are on a fast road to nowhere. And the truth is, many of us have aligned ourselves with hustle culture as a way to run away from ourselves. I'll say that again. Many of us align ourselves with hustle culture to run away from ourselves. Feel me? A lot of us stay busy so we don't have to feel. So we don't have to feel. We chase the next thing so we don't have to sit with what's not working. We overwork so we don't have to witness the part of us that still feels unworthy. And listen, I'm not judging you, I'm not judging any of it because I've done the same thing too. I've wrapped up my identity in my output, in my performance, in my productivity. And so every time the momentum stopped or the momentum slowed down, I didn't just feel like I was behind. I felt like I had lost my value. But clarity and wholeness doesn't come from constant motion. It comes from stillness, from presence, from giving yourself permission to stop running and to actually come home to yourself. And so this mid-year reset isn't about pushing harder. This is not about chasing the clock. This is not about feeling like you just don't have enough of whatever it is. This really is about choosing differently. Choosing differently. It's about anchoring back into the truth of who you are, not a timeline, not a trend, and definitely not the pressure. Okay? Because alignment is what creates real momentum. Alignment with mind, body, heart, spirit, soul. This is the kind of momentum that lasts way after that initial buzz of excitement. This is the momentum that doesn't just get you to the next goal, but actually makes you feel good while you're on the way there. Because most of us do not have a money problem. We don't have a relationship problem. Many of you have a man problem. And no, I didn't say man. I said mom. Mindset, alignment, and momentum problem. Right now is the perfect time to pause, to recalibrate, and to ask yourself, what am I actually aligning with? When your mindset, your alignment, and your momentum are working against each other, it doesn't matter how much effort you put in. It's never going to feel like enough, and you'll forever be grasping at that goal or that achievement or, the relationship, whatever it is. But when those things are in sync, when your inner world is clear and your outer actions align and are rooted in your truth, everything starts to flow. So let's get into this. I want to walk you through the exact 8-week practice that I'm using to reset my rhythm and realign for the rest of the year. So you may be thinking, how do I create alignment? What do I actually do to reset? Or how do I actually come back to myself? What does all of this even mean? And I get it because we have been so conditioned to think that resetting means starting over, that we need to throw everything away and rebuild from scratch. But the truth is, most of us don't really need a full restart. We just need realignment. We need to recenter our energy, and we need to remember who we are. Who we are. So, in essence, we need to slow down and reclaim our rhythm, redefine success in a way that feels like actual freedom, in a way that feels sacred, not like pressure or stress, right? So let's start with this. You don't need a 90-day hustle. You probably also don't need a color-coded calendar. I've been there, done that. And you definitely do not need to wake up at 5 a.m. if your body is begging you for rest. All of these rules, just throw them out the window. Okay? Throw those rules out the window. If you found that half of the year has passed and you still haven't found your rhythm, or you're still chasing something, or you're tired and exhausted and anxious all the time, the last thing you want to do is keep pushing yourself harder in the same direction that's already burning you out, that's already leaving you feeling like something is missing. More effort without alignment does not create expansion. It only creates more exhaustion. So here's something that you will actually find useful: a safe inner environment for evolution. And what does that mean? Figuring out the places or spaces where you find yourself most at ease, where your nervous system says, yes, I am safe here. We are safe here. And that could be relaxing in your bedroom, on your bed. It could be sunbathing in the garden or at a beach, listening to the waves crash against the shore or the seagulls in the sky. And it could be the coziness of your bathroom. For many moms like myself, the bathroom has legit become a sacred retreat, a sanctuary. It also means clearing out the internal clutter, the noise, the expectations, the outdated stories that say you have to do more to be worthy. And once you've created even a little bit of space, a little bit of stillness, you can begin to listen to you. From that space, we rebuild, we realign, we begin again. But this time, it's not from scratch. That's where this 8-week practice comes in. It's not a sprint, but it is a personal challenge to lean into softness instead of struggle, to choose rhythm over rushing, and to build from a place of self trust instead of self loathing or self pressure. And all of this takes time to anchor in, which is why I'm dedicating 8 weeks to gently reconditioning my inner world, my energy, my identity, my rhythm, so that the external results I create actually feel like me. This 8-week journey is about remembering that you don't have to earn your rest. You don't have to prove your worth. You just have to realign with your truth and lead from there. The success that I desire, the success that you desire, does not just look good on paper. That is not the success that we want. We're building empires that feel good in our body, that lights us up, that aligns with our abundance. That is what I desire for all of us. So here's how it flows. But first, let me know in the comments if you are ready to join me for this mid-year realignment challenge. I have a plan that can support you, but are you ready to do things a little differently? Are you ready to leave behind the mess and call in a more evolved version of you? While it's not an official challenge, it would be great to connect with you if you plan on making this commitment to yourself. So let me know in the comments if you're in, or of course, you can search me up on social media, Instagram, Facebook, or even email me. All of my information is in the description of this video. And let me know if you're in. Okay? So let's go. Let's go. Now, I have a little backstory for you. Got a little backstory because I did not set out to design a program. After years of hustling, of launching, of pivoting, of performing, I had to admit to myself that I had never built a sustainable rhythm for my joy, for my peace, or even for my prosperity. Everything I'd created was out of necessity or survival or hustle. And that wasn't all bad because it was those seasons that brought me to the reckoning that I had been abandoning myself. So I had to get really honest with myself really fast, real fast. And I had to love on those shadow aspects of myself that I had been judging and that I had been ashamed of. That's when I realized I wasn't meant to live in survival forever. None of us are. At some point, I was going to have to just release the guilt, the regrets, the pressure, the proving, the misbeliefs. If I was ever going to meet the version of me that I knew I was meant to become, I had to be willing to release. So here I am in the last year and a half, turning my life upside down, inside out, and recognizing what was never mine to carry in the first place. The figurative baggage we all talk about is so real. And oh my gosh, you literally feel the weight being lifted when you finally choose to rest that bag down and leave it there. Leave it there. This is where the realignment comes in. Because after you've put down the weight, you've put down the pressure, you've put down the pretending, you've put down the proving, you're finally left with this wide open space. Space to feel, space to hear your own voice again, space to choose differently. And what do you do? Because now everything is brand new, and this next chapter doesn't come with an instruction manual. It doesn't come with training wheels as you shift from that outdated identity into a new identity, into a new rhythm and a new way of being. And that can feel disorienting at first because you're no longer operating from survival. You're no longer chasing the shiny object. You're choosing everything with intention. And sometimes that level of freedom, when it's so unfamiliar, it can be so scary. But that is where the magic begins. When you stop asking, what should I do? And then you start asking, who am I becoming? Those are the magic words for this mid-year realignment. Who am I becoming? Say it with me. Who am I becoming? Because until you clearly define who you're becoming, you will keep defaulting to who you have always been. You'll keep building from old habits, from outdated beliefs, from recycled energy. But we know that real evolution, the kind of transformation that sticks, that starts with identity, not with a wish list or a to-do list, but with how you see yourself and how you honor that version of you in your day-to-day choices. Once I realized that a huge missing element in my life and in my business was identity alignment, it was like Pandora's box was open. Because overnight, I started to see things differently. And I saw how I kept trying to change my habits without changing my self concept. That was something I had to sit with for a very long time. Think about it. How often do we label ourselves based on old evidence, based on old experiences? We say things like, I'm not consistent, I'm bad with money, I'm not a morning person, no one loves me, I'm not a people's person, I'm not smart enough, or even things like, I always fall off, I can never finish anything. And then we go out to build our lives, we go out to accomplish our goals, and we create routines on top of those stories about who we believe ourselves to be, the identity that we've created for ourselves. But how can you build something sustainable if the version of you at the foundation doesn't believe she's worthy of it? Trying to set goals from survival, I've said it already in my previous video, trying to set goals from survival, fear, self-doubt, recipe for disaster. So when I talk about realignment, I'm not talking about getting organized or downloading a planner, even though I do have a free planner for you, but not talking about that. I'm talking about going within. And yes, this is, if you on this channel, this is what you're going to get. We're going to get honest with ourselves and we're going to redefine who we are and acknowledge who we are becoming. Because the truth is, you cannot sustain what you don't feel safe receiving. And you won't feel safe receiving anything that doesn't match with who you believe you are. Can I get a light bulb on the screen? Can I get a light bulb on the screen? The quote is this: if you want something you've never had, you have to do something you've never done. Well, this is what I say. If you want something you've never had, you have to become someone you've never been. Let me know in the comments if you're down with that program. Okay? Which one sounds more sustainable and life-changing? Let me know in the comments. My beautiful reflection, who is watching this video right now, that is how I've come to this chapter of my life. This is true story, real story. I've come and I've arrived at this point not trying to fix myself, but finally learning how to lead myself. That's how I began developing what I now call the Empire Operating System, which is a new way of living, leading, and building that starts from the inside out. I realized that all of the success I was chasing couldn't stick because I didn't have a system that was built around me, around my energy, around my rhythm, around my identity, around my soul. The Empire Operating System isn't just a business tool I'm designing, it's a way of being. It's how I return to alignment every day so I can lead my family, lead my brand, my business, my mission without losing myself in the process. And now I'm integrating those 5 pillars into this mid-year realignment plan that I literally came up with in a matter of 2 days. I like the title, Mid-Year Realignment Plan, How to Evolve in 8 Weeks Without Hustle Culture. And I will have this available as a free PDF that you can download and walk through at your own pace, because this season isn't about rushing. We're not in a race. Each of us have our own pace. This season is about reclaiming. So whether you're a mama, a multi-passionate entrepreneur, a corporate professional, an artist, a doctor, a lawyer, or simply a woman who's tired of living in cycles that don't reflect her truths, these 8 weeks are for every single one of us. And tell me what those magic words are for this mid-year alignment, realignment. I know you know what they are. Let me know in the comments. And on the count of three, we're going to say it together. 1, 2, 3. Who am I becoming? Yes, that is the starting point, and that is the ending point. I'm going to quickly go over what the 8 weeks of evolution flow looks like, and I'm going to share a glimpse of how I'm applying this in my real life, some of it I'm already doing. Week 1 and 2 is all about energetic reset. This is where we begin, not by forcing anything, but we're going to create the space for clarity, for peace. This is our invitation to regulate our nervous system, to detox from the mindset of urgency. And really, this is the time when we will be auditing what's draining us emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, what's fueling us up. Week 1 and 2 is about energetic sovereignty. It's about establishing boundaries, protecting your peace, saying no without explanation, without guilt. If it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't spark a light within you, it is a no. And in the same note, saying yes, but from your truth. Asking yourself, does this align with who I am becoming? Will this create a new experience for me? Does this make me feel like a kid again? If those answers are yes, then it's a heck yes. So recalibrating energies is important, right? Then we move into weeks 3 and 4, which is all about identity reclamation. Girl, this is where we get in the mirror, not to criticize ourselves, but to see who we truly are. To finally ask, who am I underneath all of the rules, all of the hacks, all of the expectations, and all of the survival patterns? This is where you start writing out your own narrative, because you are the author of your story. You are the architect of your reality. And before we can build anything new, we have to decide. You know, I heard once, and I hope I don't butcher this, but I heard one of my mentors put it this way: if the dash on every tombstone is worth recording, it sure as heck is worth living. Your God, however you may reference your creator, has given you and only you the authority to be the author of your life and story. And so, who are you becoming? That is the decision you get to make as you reclaim your identity. This is the decision that I have made as I am reclaiming my identity. This isn't a wish and wait for a miracle. In weeks 3 and 4, you decide who you're becoming, decide what you're no longer available for, decide that your past doesn't get to define your future. And then you begin integrating that version of you in your daily life, in the way you speak to yourself, in the choices you make when no one is watching, in the boundaries that you hold, the softness you allow, the truth that you choose. Because evolution isn't just a moment. Evolution is a practice. Things happen over time. So then we move on to weeks 5 and 6, which is about building rhythm and ritual. This is where we take everything you've connected to your identity and begin creating the structures that support it. Not hustle routines, but sacred rhythms, practices that hold you when you're tired and anchor you when you're lit up. This is where your days start to feel like you. Morning rituals that center your energy, systems that honor your bandwidth, soul aligned flows rooted in your season, in your values, in your becoming. See how rhythmic it is? It's very rhythmic. Because it's not enough to know who you are. It's not enough to just to know. You have to live like her in the becoming, in the now. And then the final 2 weeks are where everything starts to land. This is strategy and embodiment. This is where you move out of your head and fully into the becoming. In week 7 and 8, we focus on alignment in action. We're not just setting goals, we're designing strategy that feels sacred and feels like self respect. You're not leading from pressure, you're moving from presence. This is where your rituals become your rhythms, where your systems become support, where your strategy becomes sovereignty. And it's very important to keep front of mind that embodiment, this integrative practice, is not about perfection. And it's certainly not about self judgment. It's about acceptance and application. It's about the woman you choose to be in real time. When the doubt creeps in, when the old habits try to resurface, when the timeline doesn't go as planned, embodiment says, I still choose me. I still choose softness. I still choose structure that honors my spirit and soul. I still choose my vision and who I am becoming without abandoning my peace and without abandoning myself. This is the phase where your identity becomes your lifestyle, where alignment meets action and execution. And you become the kind of woman who doesn't chase, you attract. Does this sound like a plan? Let me know in the comments if this resonates with who you're becoming. Mid-year realignment is going to look different for every single one of us. And quite frankly, that is the incredible beauty of it. Because this isn't about replicating someone else's journey. This is about reclaiming your own journey. And for me, there are certain rituals and practices that will accompany each week, and I'll be sharing them with you in the free download that I have. So be sure to check the description below. But just in case you're wondering what this looks like in real life, I'm going to share some of the ways that I've already begun integrating the soft evolution in my daily rhythm. So, first of all, one of the things that I've done is I've stopped letting my to-do list govern me. So what I do now is I begin each week and most days actually with an energy check-in. I ask myself, what does my body need today? Or what does my spirit need this week? Or what has been draining me lately? Or what is lighting me up? What is fueling me? What is bringing me joy? What is bringing excitement into my life? I ask myself those questions and I allow that to guide how I structure my days. Now, for some of maybe working a job, you may ask, how does that apply to me when I don't have full control over my schedule? And I get it because, of course, I've been there too. But even within that structure, you can reclaim your rhythm. Even when you are working on a job and you don't have control or full autonomy of your time, you can reclaim your rhythm. That may mean taking 5 intentional minutes in the morning to check in with yourself, to ask those same questions, to see how you're feeling. You may say, how do I want to feel today? What's one small thing I can do to support myself today? Or what's one small thing I can do to not just survive the day, but to stay connected to me? Soft evolution isn't necessarily about how much free time you have. It really isn't. It's about reclaiming the moments that you do have, whether that's 10 minutes of presence, 30 minutes of self-honoring, whether that's 5 minutes of choosing alignment over being in autopilot. The more you practice that, the more you start to expand that, and the more possibilities and opportunities and clarity and new rhythms start showing up that matches your alignment. Another thing that I've created is what I call ritual windows. And these are blocks of time every day where I nourish my nervous system, whether that's with joy, fun, movement, intention. Sometimes that may be 10 minutes, it may be 30 minutes, it may be 45 minutes, right? Sometimes it's breath work, sometimes it's walking, sometimes it's TikTok dancing with my daughter. This practice is very fluid and it goes with how I feel in the moment, what I desire at any given moment. It's not a rigid, I need to do this in order to be worthy of kind of practice. And lastly, another thing that I have done, which I absolutely love, I have been building more sacred white space into my calendar. This is something that I'm actually adding or have actually added into my calendar, non-negotiable sacred white space. And this is something that's brand new for me, but this is the time. And it's not every day. It's like 3 to 4 times a week when I put my phone down and maybe put my feet up and I check in with myself. Again, I'm asking myself, what support or space would bring me back to center in this moment? Or what do I desire not to do, but to feel more like myself? What would reconnect me to my truth in this moment? And you know what? The beauty of this as well is that you may not necessarily schedule it in, but at given times when you may oops, at given times when you may feel yourself going off, bearing off, you have that sacred white space to realign, to be intentional about realignment. As you're asking yourself these questions, what would reconnect me to my truth in this moment? What could help me feel more like myself? They're just a few examples of questions that you can ask or that I ask myself. And then the second part of that is patiently waiting for answers. Because asking the questions is great, but now you want to tune in with yourself. And you can imagine the sacred space has been revolutionary for me because for most of my life, my worth was tied to my output, as it is for many of us. And my idea of self-concept, what I thought to be true about myself, was tied to so many external factors. But now I'm learning that rest is a strategy, joy is a strategy, presence is a strategy, and I'm meeting myself in new, powerful ways. And I will say this has not been a quote unquote perfect journey. This is not about seeking perfection, but it is about being on purpose and being intentional. And it has definitely been transforming how I show up as a mother, how I show up as a businesswoman, as a mentor, as a coach, as a visionary building her next level in real time. So if nothing else stick with you from this video today, let it be this. Let it be this very, very important thing. You have to decide to become the authority over your life, not just choose. Choosing means there are options. You have to decide, you have to make a decision. And in that, clearly define who you're becoming. You with me? So we're going to wrap this up together because I've got one last reflection that I want to leave with you. We may be at the mid-year mark, yeah, but you are not behind, my friends. You're not broken, and you are definitely not too late. You are becoming in real time, and that journey is sacred. It is beautiful, and it is full of so many possibilities. This second half of the year doesn't have to require you to hustle. It does require a new level of honesty with yourself, a deeper level of devotion to your peace, your purpose, to your truth. So if you're ready to realign, to start practicing the beliefs, the habits, and the rituals of the woman you are here to be, I do want to invite you to take this next step with me. You can go ahead and download the free soft evolution realignment plan, how to evolve in 8 weeks without hustle culture. Download that PDF to walk through this rhythm in your own time, in your own life. And I'd also like to invite you to join me inside 21 Days of Joy. This is a daily ritual practice that started my own realignment journey and that officially kicks off to the public this July. Connect with me on Facebook or Instagram for more dates and details. Or if you want to go deeper, you feel like there's so much more that you want to uncover, then go ahead and book a free clarity call and let's explore what your own empire operating system could look like. I believe that we're not going to be finishing 2025 in burnout, in hustle culture. We're going to rest that right there, leave that in the first half of 2025. We're going to finish this year whole by finally coming home to ourselves. So, beautiful soul, I want to thank you for being here. Drop a comment below and let me know what you are releasing from the first half of the year and what you are reclaiming in the second half of 2025. I can't wait to hear from you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and pay it forward. Share this video with a soul sister who needs a reset or realignment also. This is only the beginning. Until next time.